The suspected Charlie Kirk shooter has been caught. You're looking at his mugshot right here. This is breaking news. It's all unfolding. The manhunt hopefully is over. Seems to be a lone gunman unless any other information comes out. What was all that about airplanes taking off and whatnot? It seems as though due to the security footage that this should be an open and shut case, although I'm going to let the detectives continue to do their work. I know there are plenty of people that are saying, oh, this seems all too convenient. And I think in society, like, I'm guilty of this too. We thought, oh, this must have been some foreign government having a hit job with a sniper. It was absolutely crazy. It was so well executed. Or a guy got lucky with a 200-yard shot, a guy with a decent shot, and in the chaos of everybody running around, he blended in and it took him a little while to find the guy. That might be the more simpler answer. Man who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk has been identified as 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. I'm going to share the press conference and then we're going to get into some more details. There's obviously a lot of misinformation going around. They do say what some of these bullets meant. People are looking into what was the ideology of the killer and his family. It's a tough game to play. This is why I've said from the beginning, you got to be careful not to see tragedy and then immediately go online and try to find out what side they were on, as if one side wants death and the other side doesn't. I believe this, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, somewhere in between, whatever your ideology is, most people would never commit a crime of any physicality, let alone murder. Most people wouldn't do that. And we need to remember that when we say, they started this. That's not true. Words don't lead to violence. Violence leads to violence, right? You should be allowed to have your opinion if you're, in disagreement with somebody. That's what Charlie Kirk wanted. You to be able to go there and confront him through healthy debate. That's the First Amendment we fight and die for. We don't fight and die to silence people like this. Just a reminder that everyone knows what side I'm on. That's the side of conversation. Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. Nobody supports this kind of violence. Here's the governor of Utah. He's doing a fantastic job trying to unite people. Really, he's really meeting the moment here. And here's the moment he talks about catching the shooter.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University.
So they had it. So they already got a confession. Allegedly. Again, we'll have to see. And by the way, this next process is what I support. A fair trial. Whether he confesses or not, he's going to get a fair trial. This is due process. This is what we fight for, to say, you did it, we're going to prove it, and he's going to have the chance to defend himself. Now, obviously, the evidence is going to be there, and it seems as though he's going to have a tough case if he did want to defend himself, but that's why you run it through the system. You stress test it so you don't put the wrong person behind bars.
This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images.
Wow.
Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had.
And by the way, I think this is good that the family's sharing this. This might help our country heal a little bit, just to get all the conspiracies out of the way, let the truth rise to the top, and just like Explain how this guy could have been radicalized to do this.
The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate.
Wow.
These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there has been speculation.
I'm more confused than anything. I'm interested to see how they piece this all together. Was someone giving him the gun? Of course, this is going to be the big question: is who's the gun registered to? This is obviously isn't a child; he's an adult. Was he able? Did he have to pass any background checks to get the gun? It doesn't seem like he had any mental health issues from what we've seen. We're going to find this all out, but so many questions, yet to be answered. But this is such a good step, honestly, that we can no longer run wild with the conspiracies of who done it, the pointing the fingers back and forth,
as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
I don't know. I mean, I hope this guy talks. I hope he explains himself. Obviously, it's psychotic. I mean, it's psychotic. You don't resort to violence when you can have conversation. You don't do it. Violence is a last resort, last resort. So this is good that they've caught the guy. Police announced the arrest of him, and here this is from Real News, no bullshit. According to police, the Robinsons family tipped them off. I mean, good on the Robinsons family. What a nightmare. I've got a brother who's this age. I got a 22-year-old brother. It is heartbreaking to think that someone would be so desperate, living in fear, living in hate, and yet at the same time commit this sort of crime. Absolute wild stuff. This is sort of what we're battling right now. I'm not saying this, I don't blame this guy for how he feels. I personally, I'm just going to use this as a teachable moment. We really need to get off the internet. This is someone who clearly is using terminology like this is a civil war, us versus them. And that's not the case whatsoever. I mean, if anything, and again, we don't know yet, but it looks as though this killer's family was Republican. I'm not blaming Republicans. I'm not blaming Republicans if he happens to be Republican. I'm not blaming Democrats if he happens to be Democrat, period. Hard stop. And we've got several years covering stories like this where when the Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota were shot and murdered just a few months ago, I didn't blame Republicans over that. It's violent. It's, some random crazy person.
I hope when this is all over, you remember who fired first.
You who?
You've tried to kill the president twice. And now.
And by the way, the attack on the president was by a Republican.
You've assassinated man for talking. You don't really want to do this, okay? 400 million plus firearms in this country, and they don't belong to the left, bro. Yeah. If you think it's okay to murder someone because of their opinion, you get what's coming to you.
And who the hell is he talking about? Now, I just wanted to clarify the Trump assassination attempt. Thomas Matthew Crooks was found to be a registered Republican. His actions and online activity reflected mixed political leanings. We don't know the shooter, what his leanings were. And I'm not saying this to place blame. I want to remind people, I'm not saying this to place blame. It's not the blame of half the country if someone did this, regardless of ideology. And we just need to be, again, I don't give two shits about this, but I'm covering this thing so dang fairly. I mean, it's a tight needle to thread, but we're looking at our president making wild claims about who the shooter is way before he knows. People are following that information. There are hit lists online that are looking at content creators that gave the wrong answer. They're putting people, this is insane what's going on right now, to the point where a lot of people are fearing for their safety, that the pendulum might swing in the other direction. And I'm here to say that is violent. That's violent rhetoric right there. And that's what we can expect from random commenters online, but not from the fucking president of the United States of America. I lost 30 subscribers when I mentioned that. And that's okay if people can't kind of digest the nuance we're trying to talk about here. So this is shared on Reddit, some of the photos of the shooter. And, you look at a shooter like this, it looks like a guy that'd be on the mantle of anyone's family, right? But then when, the surveillance footage shows him in the same chucks, a photo of him at IHOP, just innocuous graduation photos. You don't know what's going on inside someone's head. Here's David Portnoy, creator of Barstool Sports, talking about the rhetoric that does not help unite the country.
Politics definitely has a huge part in it. Trump, and when I say Trump has a huge part in it, I don't necessarily mean he's to blame for it, but he's so divisive without really even just his face is divisive. People hate him so much. And the left and the right, the rhetoric, especially to me, the left, is insane. And it just boils. And this happened when Trump, they threatened, when his assassination attempt, there's a 3-hour period of let's tone down the rhetoric.
Right.
Then they're right back to it.
Right back to it. And a lot of people said after the Trump assassination attempt, maybe that rhetoric will go away. Maybe we can have this unity cause. Now, do you guys remember? I'm not talking about policies. I'm talking about a unifying force. Do you guys remember when Joe Biden did a town hall? He went into a Republican area. He did a town hall. Let's just Google it. Joe Biden wears a MAGA hat. Do you remember the attempt that he tried to do? This is 1 year ago. Here he is. Joe Biden sees a guy in the crowd, and watch this interaction.
Presidential hat. Presidential seal hat.
He gives the presidential seal hat to this, MAGA Trump supporter.
You want to autograph it? Oh, sure, I'll autograph it. Huh? Yeah. You remember your name?
So he asked Biden if Biden would autograph it. Biden goes, sure, I'll autograph it. The guy says, do you remember your name?
Remember my name, I'm slow.
He says, of course I remember my name. I'm slow.
You're an old part. Yeah, I know, man. I'm an old guy. And you're an old part, right?
And then the guy calls the president of the United States an old fart. Biden's response, I know, I'm an old guy.
I know you would know about that.
And then Biden says, I know you would know about that. I'm sorry for The audio's not great. I'm sharing it back and forth. He calls the president of the United States an old fart. He says, do you even know your name? Where's the fucking decency? The response? The high road from Biden? He goes, you would know something about that. That's a quick response. Say what you want about him. He shouldn't have run for a second term, all that jazz. But this is a moment that, look at the kids watching in the background. For fuck's sake. These kids, who are they going to grow up to be? Who are they going to grow up to idolize? Who are they going to learn from? This crusty old fuck who calls the president an old fart? Or the president who takes it with grace? Honest question. And if you guys out there can't see this the way I see it and see the problem with a leader who's stoking division in a time where he should be healing us, I don't have words for you.
Stop being old.
Oh, I know.
All right.
I'm a young timer.
There he is.
So he reminds me of the guys I grew up with. There was always one in the neighborhood.
Well, I'm the only one.
There you go, man. I need that hat.
So Biden gives him the presidential hat, an autographed hat from the president of the United States. And then Joe Biden says, I need that hat. And he takes the Trump hat and he puts it on his head. That's a fucking moment that unites us. Or it should.
Want my autograph?
Hell no.
My name. Come on.
People yell, put it on.
That far.
Yeah. Then you would do a selfie. There he goes.
And there it is, folks. And there it is. So when you look back at what the duty of a president is, it's to unite. It's to be the glue that bonds a divided nation. It comes at times of war. George Bush after 9/11. We're not talking about policies that come afterwards. We're talking about the tone. How the whole country, because, individually, we all have a good IQ, right? Individually, collectively, we have a good IQ. But when you combine us all, humans can be bad people, right? We can run off the cliff like lemmings. We can riot. We can burn. We can destroy. We lose that IQ. We lose that rational thought when we're angry, when we're pitted against each other. And how easy is it to see that happen? Where are the moments like this from our president? Where are the moments where the president can talk about ways that we can come together? And you might argue, yeah, but they're saying this about him. Well, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And gosh, was this a moment just 1 year ago? Was it 1 year ago, right? 11 months ago. How about that? And what happens from a guy who called the president an old fart? Well, now he's clapping. And sure, maybe he still hates the president and his policies, but I hope he remembers this moment, that he met somebody who had a hell of a lot more grace than he did. So many other things I wanted to get to that we're just not going to have time to get into today. Joe Rogan reacting to the gunshot and everything. On the first half of this episode, I shared how Governor Spencer Cox declared this such a dark chapter in our history. I have to tell you, I really have to give flowers and credit where it's due. The governor of Utah has done a fantastic job trying to bring people back together. If you didn't catch part one, he basically just said that social media is a cancer in our society right now. If you go to my social media, I further explain tangible ways that we can get through this, one of which is stop arguing with strangers online. And yet, our comment section is going to be full of that. I don't go in there. It's going to be full of it. Some people with good intention, some people with bad intention. And it's not worth anybody's time to argue with strangers. Just remember, whatever pain, struggle, and hate this guy's going through, we're going to figure it out. We're going to hear about it, and we're not going to blame this article here. I don't know if this is good or bad to be sharing, but speculating over his parents being Republican. The suspect is said to be listed as politically unaffiliated. So maybe the guy does have, far left ideology. Maybe I have no clue. We will figure that out, and we together collectively will not blame each other for somebody's abhorrent behavior. We're going to find a way to wear the hat of the other side. I mean this metaphorically. We're going to find a way to empathize, come to our agreements on what we want for our country, the love and prosperity and hope and all of that. And we're not going to be divided. At least I'm not. I'm not going to let that happen. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. I hope you get a chance to go on a walk with your family and take care of whatever it is you need to take care of. Work on yourself. Work on, trying to reignite that love and that fire within. Rebuild. Take some moments. Quit fighting online. We'll be back on Monday. We're here twice a day, every day. Politics, pop culture. We'll see you then. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.